Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Callie Miller, and I'm with High Profile Staffing, and we are so thrilled that you're joining us here today. We're going to allow just one more minute to allow a few more of the participants to get logged on, so just bear with us, and in about 45 seconds, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to get started because we have a lot to cover today, and we are thrilled that Kim Zoller from ID360 is joining us to talk about a very important subject, especially in this crazy COVID crisis, mindfulness. So you are in for a treat. Again, I'm Callie Miller with High Profile Staffing here in Dallas, Texas. And for those of you who don't know High Profile, we are a Dallas-based staffing firm specializing in administrative, accounting, finance, and human resource placement. So please let us know if we can be a resource to you in your job search or identifying top talent. Now, we wanted to give everybody a couple of housekeeping things for our webinar today. We are utilizing Zoom webinar, which means that we cannot hear or see you, but that doesn't mean that we want you to be silent. We want to interact with you. Kim wants to interact with you, and she wants to answer all of your questions and again, hear from you. So I wanted to point out a couple of features that are available to you as an attendee, the chat window, as well as the Q&A window. And so what we're going to invite everyone to do now is to click on the chat window and to chat with all panelists and attendees. You're going to want to select the drop down and make sure you're chatting with all, and tell us where you are listening from right now. And that's city and state, please. So let us know where you're listening from. Right. Little Elm, Dallas, Kentucky, North Dakota, awesome. Ohio, Rhode Island, Houston, wow, this is awesome. New Jersey, New York, California. Well, so we're spanning both coasts. This is awesome. Thank you guys for participating. So throughout the presentation today, Kim will be inviting you to comment and chat with her. She'll be asking some questions, and so we want this to be interactive. So please utilize this window and make sure that you're choosing the drop down all attendees and panelists, or at least all the panelists, so Kim can see those comments. Now, if you have a question, we'd ask that you please enter that in the Q&A box. That will help us to better manage the questions and make sure we get to all of those at the end of the presentation. And if we don't get to cover all the Q&A, don't worry, we're gonna recap it all. Kim will answer those questions and we'll put it together in a nice PDF recap for you so that you'll have that post-event. So that is Q&A, and next up would be, after today's presentation, what can you expect? Well, within the next 24 hours, you'll receive an automated email from Zoom that will include a link that will take you to a survey about the event. Please give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Kim would love that feedback. And so we thank you in advance for participating in the survey. Then 24 to 48 hours after this presentation, you'll receive another link that will direct you to highprofilestaffing.com, where you will then be able to download a copy of this presentation, complete with the recap, as well as some resources that Kim and her team at ID360 will be providing, along with the recorded version of this webinar. So you'll be able to go back and watch it again, share it with your team. So we hope that you find that valuable. Certainly, if you have any issues, you can just save highprofilestaffing.com/events and just check that page regularly, and it will be updated with those links within 48 hours. So next up, I wanted to mention that we have some giveaways today, and our speaker today, Kim, she is incredible. Not only is she a business owner and an incredible trainer and facilitator, she has written 3 books here. that we will be giving away 1 copy of each at the end. We'll have a random drawing. So we're excited to do that and excited to for you to be able to engage with Kim after the presentation. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our amazing presenter, Kim Zoller. Now, I have to say, you know, Kim, she is the founder and CEO of ID360, and she's been doing this for over 29 years. But a fun fact that some of you may not know is she actually got her start in the staffing business. And do you want to guess where she started that career? High profile staffing. So she is a former high profile alumni, and I wish that I would have had the opportunity to work with her when she was with High Profile. But from the first time that I was introduced to Kim through our CEO and owner, Bronwyn Allen, I was immediately impressed and just wowed by her. She is an incredible, incredible leader. She's an incredible mentor. She's also an amazing, amazing trainer and facilitator. And at ID360, she's been going strong for, again, now over 30 years, has 200 plus corporate clients. She does leadership training and mindset training, which we're going to be exposed to that mindset piece today, C-suite development, helping companies develop a conscious culture, performance executive coaching, and the team building. And again, over 200 worldwide partnerships with some amazing companies like the ones you see represented here. So you can see that you are in for a major treat today by having Kim join us. So I don't want to take any more of her time. So without further ado, Kim, please join us, and you all help me welcome Kim Zoller from ID360.
That I cannot share my screen. Hi, everyone. Let me see if I can share my screen. It's not letting me yet. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Hello. 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 It is such a pleasure to be here. So thank you, Callie, and thank you to the High Profile team for having me. It is kind of crazy because that is really where I started my career. And if you watch my LinkedIn post today, you'll see that, you know, why I'm here is because of the owner of High Profile, Bronwyn Allen, who just pushed and pushed and pushed me to do things and be better. So very, very grateful to be here. So why are we here for mindfulness? And it's just amazing because obviously right now it is, it's so fitting because there is so much coming in. And even though this is something that in the last, I would say, handful of years, and more than that for like a community at the whole, but when it comes to corporations, really this starting to be something that is necessary, and looking at the data, they really are looking at the last 5 to 10 years max, and how companies have implemented this. And I want to start by saying, you know, well, how did I come to this? Because our company, this is not exactly our focus, right? And so how did I come to this? And I have to say that for me, this comes out of my own personal experience of things happening in my own life, like my kids moving out of the country to a different country after high school to take a gap year and then stay there, and then my dad dying the same year, and other things happening in my life that I just was like, you know, how do I calm myself? How do I get myself into a good place when everything I'm about is growth mindset and everything I'm about is positivity, but what do I do? So this is something I really started looking at and really wanted to make a part of my life, which is why this is more of, I'm not your expert out there who's written books on it and things like that. I am the person who just implores this every single day of my life and thinks about it. And so today, that's what it's about. Our agenda today is, what is mindfulness? Let's dispel the softness. How do we make it stick? And how do you do it in your daily lives? How do you gain the skills to implore, to bring in, to implement mindfulness into your lives? And if we have time to do even just a small meditation, I will do that. I want to dispel one thing before we go forward, and that is meditation is not mindfulness. Meditation is a tool to improve mindfulness, and that there are lots of other things too. So I want to start, and I'd like to have everyone write this in the chat, okay? How do you feel today? And what I would like you to do is just assess, just observe, no judgment, just think about where are you today on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, 1 being the least, and realizing that I always say 10 is there's never a most, but where are you? I'd like you to write in on a scale of 1 to 10 or the word. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. I love it. Okay. So I want you to see, like, where are you and what is happening for you, and why and how can mindfulness help you? And that's really the question for today, is that how can it help you? You know, why would you do it? For me, I was having a really hard time in my life of just finding, like, I would go to work and I'd do my things and I was happy to the outside world, but inside I was really sad. I felt very lonely, and I was like, what do I need to do about this? So I decided that I was going to meditate, and I was going to really just start studying this every single day. So I want you to think about, why is mindfulness so important to you? Why is it important to your families, to your colleagues? One of the resources, or many of the resources we'll share afterwards, will talk about, obviously, more data than what we're sharing today and why it's so important. In the meantime, I just want you to personalize it for you. So what is mindfulness anyway? Because there are a lot of things that people talk about with the word mindfulness. And I think it's important for us to just find out exactly, you know, what exactly it is. And so here's a great definition. A mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and sensations. So even when I said to you, how do you feel right now? What, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's not saying, oh, I should feel better, or I wish I felt better, or if it was only for this, you know, I feel like this, but I'm not gonna be too happy about it. I should have this. So instead of judging it, it's just being aware of it. And that's why when you say to yourself, where are you? It's really just saying to yourself, where am I? Just observing that. And so I really think, you know, a big part of it is that we're in it right now. And are you present? Like right now, are you really present? Are you looking at your phone? Are you looking at other things on your computer? And I want to share something with you that is really quite astonishing when we think about mindfulness. And that is this incredible study that was done over 2,200 people, 2,250 people, by Killingsworth and Gilbert. And what they said, I love this quote: a human mind is a wandering mind, and a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. So how did they come up with that? Well, what they did is they took the correlation of mindfulness and our minds wandering and said, what makes happiness, and how do people, and where do they feel happy? So here's an interesting piece of data that we'll provide this resource for you afterwards. They came up with that our minds are wandering 47% of the time. 47% of the time, except during one activity, which I will not mention on this webinar. So 47% of the time, like, our minds are thinking about other things. So what does that say? Well, this is so interesting. I love this quote, and I'll explain what this is. Be happy in the moment. That's enough. Each moment is all we need, not more. So Mother Teresa said this. Now here, I want to try and get this straight so that it makes sense, because it's hard to explain. So I'm actually going to read something to you. The researchers estimated that only 4.6% of a person's happiness in a given moment was attributed to the specific activity he or she was doing. Okay, so 4.6% of our happiness is only attributed to what we're doing in that moment, because a person's mind wandering accounted for about 10.8% of their happiness. So we're so busy thinking about other things that we're not present. And that's what mindfulness is. And especially when we think about today and this world that we're in, and there's no guidebook for it. You know, things are changing rapidly. I mean, who could have ever imagined how this would affect our lives, our families, our career, doing. For those of you who are at home, juggling your kids, juggling other things, the market, all of it is, this is where mindfulness comes in. It is about being able to handle and manage our thoughts so that they don't manage us. I also want to clarify that when people say, I've got to clear my mind, I've got to clear my mind, that is not mindfulness at all. And this is a really important point. Our minds are always going in a million directions. There are always these things that are flying in. There are emails being sent and phone calls and texts and posts and all this stuff. And our kids, if we have kids or significant others or friends, there are always things coming in. It is not being like I'm Zen, sitting in a dark room. What it is saying, oh, that email came in. Oh, this happened. It's the awareness of what you will take in and actually do something with. So please, when we think about mindfulness, it's just the awareness of what is coming in, because it's coming in. So I think is really important. And, for years I used to be like, I've got to clear my mind. I've got to clear my mind and, breathe. No, it's just the awareness of what's happening. So I just want to talk about the results, and just talk about what this means for us. That what does it do for you if you are leading yourself, leading your team, leading a business, leading your family. It helps us reflect. It helps us focus. We do master levels of stress, so we really can handle that, and we recharge much quicker than if we could. How does it help? If you are running an organization right now, it reduces sick days. So that is really incredible. It increased trust in leadership, boosts employee engagement, job satisfaction and retention, and it unlocks the potential, which I want to mention one other thing, that when we are mindful, we are reaching our own potential, because otherwise we're getting lost in a million things happening. So ultimately, it is recharging our batteries by reducing our stress, increasing our creativity so that we can think straight, so that we can be creative, that decreases that cortisol, that stress hormone. Our empathy increases because we are able to actually take perspectives of other people, which also helps us make decisions and makes us live longer. And today, it's so crazy because I don't know how many people on this webinar are getting incredible information about our immune system and how having less stress, handling all this anxiety really does help us in our immune system. So I want us to just take a moment and just think about, when can you use it? What's your reason? Because we have to come back to, if you're going to do any of this after this webinar, if you've been doing it, great. If you haven't, why are you going to? If you have, why are you going to continue? In fact, how can we even be more mindful? So I want you to look at the screen and just think about what resonates with you. And what I'd love you to write in the chat is, I'd like you to write in, when do you need it most? When do you need it most? Thinking about these reasons and what you are, what you're stressing about. When do you need it most? So take a moment, just please, and write it in the chat so that we can see, to all the attendees, how will this benefit you the most? I love that. And someone's not meeting your expectations. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bombarded. 100%. 100%. Good. Good, good, good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so much news, perspective. So just keep looking in the chat. And I want to tell you what we're doing, what's happening. When all these things are happening and you feel, for some of us, it's like a tightness, like I get a tightness in my chest and in my throat. And I want you to be aware of, like, what happens to you? What happens to you when you're trying to do something and then all of a sudden, for those of you, like I'm seeing a lot of kids, your kid starts screaming in the background, or Mom, I want this, or I need this, or you were getting all these emails, what happens to you? I want to just tell us, like, I think this is fascinating. And then beyond fascinating, I want to talk about what we do about it. So our nervous system is made up of our sympathetic and our parasympathetic. And when we are in fight, flight, or freeze, we are in our sympathetic nervous system. So just think about all those things that you're writing down, that we go into that. Sometimes it can actually be good because we are fight, flight, or freezing in the right moment. We are aware. It is the oldest part of our brain that causes that, our amygdala, that causes that to happen. So here's the thing, that because of that, we're used to going into that part of our system, except that we're not fighting any things in the jungle, and we're not fighting for our food. And so things stress us out that shouldn't stress us out, like the emails and all these things that are really hurting us every single day. And the goal is to go into our parasympathetic nervous system. So how do we do that? I want you to take a note. We're going to provide a lot of information as well. You have to interrupt it immediately. How do you interrupt it? Well, one of the ways is by gratitude. To immediately think about, wait, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for in this moment? A lot of you have heard of Shawn Achor. I want to show you a minute of just a recap of some research that they did, and then just talk about gratitude a little bit more and how we can implement it in our daily lives. Please take a look at this.
The first one is work that was done by Emerson and Kohler, which is a really fascinating study. What they did is they went to a company, much like many of yours. They went into a company and they had every one of their employees on these individual teams, when they first came into work, write down 3 things that they were grateful for new into a Word document. By new, I mean something that happened over the past 24 hours. So what that means is 3 new things each day for 21 consecutive business days in a row. At the end of that period of time, of course, you have 63 things you're grateful for, which in and of itself is interesting, but not the reason we do the experiment. It doesn't matter what you write down. What matters is your brain is scanning the world for the things that are positive. Because what happens is we've oftentimes trained our brain to scan for the negative, that we're incredibly good at doing that. And we're only incredibly good at doing that because our brain is a single processor. So we devote our finite resources to scanning the world only for the negative, and as a result, continually miss out on the reality of the positive things that are occurring in our environment. You do this for 21 days in a row. That research shows that you could take pessimists who always test pessimists, who we know have genes for pessimism, and they now test as low-level optimists. So excited, they stopped the study. 6 months later, they came back to work with the company and found that those individuals did not return back to where they were. They were now testing as low to moderate level optimists. What they did is they started their meetings with one thing they were personally grateful for, one thing they were grateful for about their team, and one thing they were grateful for about one member of their team. Then they talked about the fires they needed to put out. But suddenly those fires were not threats, they're challenges. And as a result of that, the entire performance of the team started to rise.
Okay, so I love that. And Shawn Achor is the most incredible resource. I want everyone to take a moment, and I'd like you to write down on a piece of paper, or I'd like you to write it down in the chat, or both. I want you to write down three things I want you to write down, but in the chat, you can write down one. What are you grateful for in the last 24 hours? What are you grateful for in the last 24 hours? Now, here is the thing. If you say you're grateful for your health, it has to be more specific. I am grateful that right now I feel so healthy, or I went for a run this morning. I did something, like when you write supportive spouse, thank you for writing that. I want you to think about, did that spouse do something for you in the last 24 hours that you felt supported by? So, okay, the sunset last night, I love that. Okay, good. So I have to tell you, I took a course with Shawn Achor about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And when I heard the study, I was like, that's it. I have got to get my brain in the morning. I got to get it firing into gratitude. And so I started waking up every single day, and have done it since then. I do not get out of my bed, without saying what I am grateful for. 3 things specific in the last 24 hours. There are days that I wake up and I'm like, and I get out of bed and then I get back into bed and I'm like, what am I grateful for? And I literally have to start thinking, because I'm so busy thinking about what is about to happen that I don't take the time. I hope you are all like looking at the chat also and seeing what people are grateful for, because it's so nice and it's such great perspective. So this is one tool, right? One tool of mindfulness to get our minds scanning for positivity. This is really, really critical, you guys, because it, as Sean said, our mind is a single processor, so we can't think about positivity and negativity at the same time. And that is why it is in a split instant that we literally change, we literally interrupt that, we interrupt that anxiety, that stress for something that we are grateful for. So that's one tool. I want to share another tool with you. I want to know, what time is it right now? What time is it right now? I see that it's 12:42. What day is it? It is 12:42. It is Thursday, I think. I mean, who knows at this point? It is Thursday. Where are your feet? Are your feet on the ground? Are you able to eat something? You're on this webinar, so life is good because you are healthy, you are safe. And I think that the perspective, when we think about mindfulness, when I am stressed, sometimes even if I'm in the shower, I'll be like, wait, where am I? I'm standing, I'm in my home, I'm clean. This is what time it is. I am fine. I have got this. So this is another tool. I'd like you to write this down for yourself. What time is it? Just ask yourself a very logical question. Again, we are interrupting our sympathetic nervous system going into our parasympathetic nervous system because we cannot think about those 2 things. So again, I want you to think about tangible tools for yourself of what you can do for yourself and for your team. Something else that's, some of you may know about are automatic negative thoughts. And this is a cognitive distortion that they have studied, that we have these, and some of them have more of them than others, but they come in all the time. I don't know about any of you, but COVID, I've unfortunately gained some weight. Anyway, so for those of you, I teach spinning. So for those of you that see me next week, because our gym is opening up, hopefully by then it will be gone. But that's an automatic negative thought. Like, what do I look like? Oh my gosh, I'm not what I want to be. So what do you do about that? Well, I loved this. You go on a diet. You go on a negative thought diet. You have to be aware of your ants. So write that down. In that moment, what does that mean? It means that in that moment, we are not who we are. We are emotionally feeling something. This is really important. When I feel bad about something, it is not that I am a bad person. It is not that I am something. It is an emotion that I feel. That keeps us mindful. I want you to write this down. Are you your best friend? Are you your own best friend? That being kind to ourselves, and in that moment, what would I say? Like, I'll say to myself, what am I saying to my best friend? What am I saying to my best friend? Would I tell my best friend, you've got this, you are great? Yes, I would. So I want you to just treat yourself as your best friend. That is another tool. Another tool. How many of you are getting out there? Are you walking? Are you going outside? Write down if you're taking lots of walks. I love all the jokes about dogs. Our dogs are like, not another, don't take me for another walk. Okay, good. So lots of yeses. So if you're out there today, when you go for your walk, go notice a tree that you've noticed a million times. In fact, right now, I'd like you to look around your office or wherever you are, and I would like you to just notice something that you've noticed a million times and just look at it in a new way. Like, oh, I'm observing that. That is mindfulness. That is mindfulness. So now I want to talk about, just for a few minutes, about meditation and why meditation is so important as a practice. It is something that I do every single day, and I try to get in 10 to 20 minutes, and if I don't, I do it for 2. And I'm serious about that, that it is just, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and there are lots of fallacies about meditation, like I've got to be in a quiet room, and I've got to have it dark, and there can't be sounds around me. And there are some great people. In fact, one of the handouts I'm going to give you is from a guy named Joe Burton, who has a company called Will, which is the really the only corporate entity for mindfulness, and it's a provider. They're amazing. I love Waking Up by Sam Harris and other different meditation apps. But why do we want to do it? Well, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. It just does so much for us. Now, I want you to look at your brain. How about this? How about 10 minutes before a meditation and 10 minutes after? Isn't that crazy and incredible? That our attention span rises over days, that anxiety improves up to 60%. How about falling asleep? I love this. A lot of participants on here today are from the work that we're doing with the state of North Dakota, which I'm so glad you're on. And someone said this morning, it's really helping me sleep. Well, it really does. It helps us sleep better. It also helps us when we wake up falling back to sleep. It helps back pain. It helps PTSD. So many benefits. Lowers blood pressure, and this is the kicker. I mean, I don't know about you, being that I've hit that 50 mark and then some, and that is, I want a 25-year-old brain. So how do I do that? Well, they've done a study, and they said if you meditate and we increase the gray matter in our brain, we have better memory. We have brains of 25-year-olds. So the bottom line is that for me, and I challenge you, what does it mean for you? What does it mean for you? What are some results that you need? And so as we have about 12 more minutes, what I want to do is I want us to go to the Q&A and ask any questions. And then I would like to, I would actually love to lead you through something. But I want to give you, before we go there, and let me go to the Q&A, I would love, if you have some questions right now, please ask them in the Q&A. And you know, what I'd like to do, if you would write in the chat, would you like to do like just a 2-minute, going back, just a 2-minute quiet, and I'll do it for 2 minutes, a 2-minute meditation. If you would write yes. Okay, awesome. Yay. I just need 1 yes and I'm good. Okay. All right. So for those of you who do this with me almost every morning, from North Dakota and from some other companies who we do this with, you will recognize this. So it'll be easy for you. Everyone else, this is what I want you to do, is I want you to look around your room again and notice something. And just look at it. Just take a breath and just look at it and notice it. And then I want you to come back, and I want you to put your feet flat on the floor, please, and just sit up straight as you can. And I want you to put your arms open, and I'd like you to close your eyes softly and gently. And take an inhale in for 4, and exhale for 4. And your mouth can be open or closed. And inhale for 4, and exhale for 4. And if you keep your mouth closed, you may want to take your tongue and put it on the roof of your mouth as it slows down your body. And inhale in and exhale out. And allow yourself just to stay here and realize that if you start thinking about something, that it's okay, because that's what happens to all of us. Remember that it is not clearing our minds. It is about noticing what is coming in. So if you are thinking about something, just notice it and say, I'm here for a couple of minutes, so that's just where I am. And breathe. And as you are breathing, I want you to let your imagination just open you up. And I'd like you to walk outside. And I'd like you to see in front of you a stream. And as we sit by that stream, the water flows, and there are sticks coming down the stream. And as the sticks are coming down the stream, you notice them. And as they are far away from you, they're really small. And as they get closer to you, you realize that they get bigger and bigger. And then as they float away, I just want you to watch it as it floats away and it gets smaller and smaller. I want you to think about a thought that you're having right now and let it come into your mind. And as it gets closer and you think about it and you focus on it more, it just seems bigger in your visual field. But you really don't have to do anything with it. You can just let it float away and unravel and push it away and breathe it away and say, I will focus on you later when I have had a moment to think about this. Because sometimes as we see that stick and it floats down the river, sometimes as it gets close, we realize it's not just a little stick, it's just a very big branch and we cannot pick it up. But it's tangible and we can see it. And so it floats away and it gets small again. And sometimes a thought comes in and then we pick it up and we just react or we just jump on it. And then lo and behold, it is like that big branch that is so big and heavy. And now what do we do with it? And so at that moment, just let it go and watch it just sail away like a cloud. And remember, when we come back to our body, the thoughts are like that emails are like that with everything, like kids crying and kids wanting things are just like that. We just don't have to do anything in that moment. Because sometimes when we just don't do anything in that moment and we let it go away, we realize that it's really no big deal. Or it's something that I am more creative and I am more open to dealing with in a different way later. And I'd like you to wiggle your toes and pay attention to your toes. And then wiggle your fingers and pay attention to your fingers and feel your fingers rubbing against each other and your thumb. And inhale in and exhale out. And slowly open your eyes. And so as we are right now, I'd like you to write in the chat, and I see some questions, so we're gonna go to those. I'd like you to write in the chat, where were you on your number and where are you now? And how do you feel? And I want you to think about this and write this down, that every thought is that rock, right? Is that stick. Every email, and I'm serious about even our kids, like that every time they're upset about something, we don't have to react. I mean, like, I wish that I had known this when my kids were little. And now that they're older, it helps me so much. And it's things that I have taught to them. Oh, I love your numbers. I'm so excited. Love that. I love that. All right. I love it. So fun. Okay, so let's go. Kelly, do you want to read some of these questions, and in this
Yes.
last few minutes, let's talk about them. And then I have 10 tips for mindfulness for ourselves and 10 tips for our team. So let's go through some of the questions.
Awesome. And we'll also be drawing for the books, the 3 books that we're giving away, Kim. So we'll do that too. So we might run a little longer. We hope that you'll stay on, guys.
Yes,
So,
I hope we'll stay on.
Kim, the first question we have is from Mike Spence. He's wondering if you would walk us through your top 3 meditation techniques.
Okay, so my top 3 are, I love guided meditations, and I see there was a question about apps. So there's an app called Waking Up by Sam Harris that when I decided, all right, this is it. I have talked about meditating. I've done it on and off since college. This is ridiculous. I need to do something about this. Like, I've got to get into it. I looked up apps. I love Headspace. I love Calm. I love all of them. Waking Up, there is, in the Waking Up app under meditations, there's something called the introductory course. It's 10 minutes a day, and literally day 1 through 60, it tells you exactly, it walks you through. And that was a big thing for me. I now, Mike, like lots of different things. Like, I like mantras and focusing on a thought and a mantra. I like breathing. I like priming and gratitude. So they're all different, and we really have to figure out the ones that help us. And here's the thing. The more we do it, the better we get. And there are still days that I do it where my mind is like so busy, and I literally have to say to myself, all right, okay, come back to my breath over and over. I never beat myself up. I just say, come back to my breath. I hope that answered your question. Another one, Callie.
All right. What is the correlation with yoga to meditation? That comes into from Mike.
Okay, so yoga is another form of mindfulness, right? It is being focused. It is going to a yoga class and paying attention to the breath and what we're doing. It's just like meditation. It's just a practice of mindfulness. What else?
All right. Christina Montgomery is asking if you have a tool that you regularly use to bring yourself to a mindful state from an emotionally elevated state.
I literally breathe. I breathe in, Christina, for 4. I breathe out for 8. There are lots of breathing techniques. That one, if you do it 3 times, is actually a really, I find it to be very, very useful of just finding my breath. I am also the gratefulness, like to me, that's like, it literally is like a finger snap. I immediately just say, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? If it's something about someone else, like something that, that someone else has done or that I feel is hurting, I think about immediately what could be their perspective and what is a kind thought that I can give to them. And to take me out of how I'm actually hurting myself, because I'm not hurting them. What else?
Karen has a question, and this is a great one considering the fact that we're all kind of locked down with our families right now. Do you recommend a quiet room, sitting alone, or with other family members?
With meditation, I think the more energy in a room, the better. Like I mentioned Team ND, so Team North Dakota, like we've been meditating at least 3 times a week together. I find that the energy in a room and being with other people, being in that space is just amazing. And I really think that at the same time, you don't have to be in a quiet space. Like I can meditate now in an airplane. So it is really just noticing the sounds, like noticing the sounds of your kids, noticing the sounds of a dog, noticing the sounds of other people talking. That's really where you want to get, because it doesn't even matter. It's just finding that moment in yourself to just find a quiet and to just be aware. What else?
Great. We have just a couple more questions. You'd mentioned earlier the favorite meditation apps.
Yeah.
Your favorite ones. What would be your most favorite meditation app that you would recommend?
I would say the one that I do the most is Waking Up. I love Headspace as well. I will tell you what else I love. If any of you are runners or walkers, is that Nike Run Club. It's free. It's a free app, NRC. And if you look at it and look at the guided runs, they have mindful miles. So Andy Pettycombe, who's the founder of Headspace, he does these, he talks to you, and it's all about mindful while you're running or working out. So I definitely, I love that too. Deepak Chopra and Oprah do like a 21-day free thing occasionally. I like those too. That's a mantra meditation. So it's a little bit different, and you kind of have to get used to that. You're focusing on a mantra, not someone leading you in thinking something. So you're really leading yourself and making sure that you're focused on the mantra. My friend Carrie, I think who's on here, told me yesterday about that there's a great breathing one that I'm going to try with Wayne Dyer. He did. If any of you are do the app Hey House, they have, like, if you subscribe to it, it's $4.99 a month, and they have amazing things on it, and a lot of Wayne Dyer stuff as well.
Thank you, Kim. All right, how do we let go while one never forgets anything?
Yeah, that's a hard one. You know, you really have to, that is a lot of automatic negative thoughts, which I see that in there as well. It is really finding that space to say, why I do this. So if something bad happens, what did I gain from it? What unfolded what is my lesson? What unfolded that gave me the biggest lesson, and how can I grow from that? And so it's turning from a fixed mindset into a growth mindset. It's using mindfulness to just know that, you know what, I am totally out of control, and that it's happened. So it's like, I have a coach myself, and my coach says to me all the time, you know, and I'm sure some of you have heard this analogy. We have, as we're driving in our car, we have a windshield, and we have a rear view mirror. Which one is bigger? And, you know, I want to look through what's happening and where I am, not what has happened, because it's so little. So why am I letting it take up space in my brain and live rent free, so to speak?
I love that, Kim. That's so good. My dad has told me that my whole life. Don't let people live rent free up there. So that's
it's so true. It's so true. It's, you know, here's the thing. I just want to say, here's the thing again about being, it's not going away, right? These things aren't going away. They happen to us. And it's not saying, I'm going to let it go, I'm going to push it away. Forget about pushing it away. Just be mindful that you're thinking about it, and now what can I do to combat it? That's it. It's observing and being aware that you have the opportunity to combat it, and you're never going to make it go away. It happens. And especially if you're someone who remembers everything, you just have to say to yourself, okay, wait, oh yeah. The reality is, what did I learn? Oh, what would I tell my best friend if they told me they were thinking the same thing? Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to tell myself.
I love that. That's such great insight, Kim. All right, last but not least, Elizabeth is asking if you have ever considered doing a session for children, that we're all, you know, locked down here. And so if your current attendees have children, that would be a nice start to be able to get them going on that.
All right, well, I love that. So Beth, I love that idea. I want to tell you that I used to do this with my kids almost every night. And I love, there's so many, first of all, there are apps for kids. I noticed the other day on Waking Up, there's a whole thing for kids. I would love to. If you guys want to organize something for kids, I will absolutely do it. I want to tell you that for Mother's Day, I said to my kids, I do this every year, a client of mine gave me this idea. They said, instead of presents for stuff from your kids, ask them to write you letters. So like a few years ago, handful of years ago, I started that. So for Mother's Day, being that my boys both live in Israel, I said, okay, the only thing I want for Mother's Day is a letter from you. And what's crazy is that they both in their letters said, Mom, I keep coming back every time that I'm stressed to our bubble, because I would take them on a bubble ride as I meditated with them at night. And they both had stories, like, independently of each other about how in their life, because they're both serving in the Army, how they both use this to calm themselves. So I am all about it for children. And I think it is the best thing you could do.
Love that, Kim. Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to invite Kirsten on from High Profile, and she is going to conduct our drawing for the books, and then Kim's going to wrap up with her 10 tips. So Kirsten.
Great. Yes, I will get this started here. We have everyone that was on the webinar today. We have all of your names in this fun wheel, and we are going to do a drawing for one of 3 Kim's amazing books. So we have 3 different chances to win. So I'm going to start with our first spin here. And it looks like April P. Oh, April E, I'm so sorry. Good job, April. And the second winner, Christina M. Congratulations.
Yay.
And the last but not least, Hannah R. All right, congratulations, everyone. And so after this is over, we'll reach out and get your address and have it sent to you via Amazon, hopefully 2-day shipping. So thank you guys, congratulations.
All right, Kim, if you want to wrap us up.
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to. So, so as we go back and I want to just, really make it tangible. And these are things that we're going to send out in the resources as well. 10 ways to our own mindfulness is what time is it, which we did. Eating slowly and thoughtfully, like literally putting something in your mouth. It's an interesting thing. My kids, my son Benji and his fiance Leia, and my other son Sammy, this is something they do, and it's taught me. They literally look at a piece of food and then they really they take a breath, and they started doing this because they really wanted to take the time to just think about what was going into their mouths. So I just love that, and I think it's so good. When you walk, just think about what leaf, what tree, what the sun, look at stress differently. That some stress can be really okay. And I feel stressful. Now, what do I do about it? I'm observing it. Follow the breath, which we did today. Listen, be present. Know that our minds wander. How can I be present? Become aware during transitions. I'm getting up. I'm doing this. I'm looking at this. I'm making a phone call. Head to toe relaxation, which is a great, just being aware of when I had you touch your fingers. Meditation, of course, is a big one for me. And then treating yourself as your best friend. The one thing that I want you to think about for those of you who are leaders and running either teams, is that or for yourself in your corporate life, in your company life or work life, I shouldn't say corporate, work life, observe emails before responding. Just take a moment. We do not have to respond. It is just imagine that stream, imagine that stick, imagine it coming in, imagine it going away. Starting each day or meeting with what you're grateful for, like Sean Aker said, we do that and it's amazing. Focus on a single task. Try not to multitask. Interrupt negative comments by saying to someone, if someone says something negative, say, tell me what's good about your day, or what did you learn from that? Get them to shift without even realizing it, doing it for yourself. Get up, leaving your space and encouraging people to do the same when you need to take a breath. Being curious, perspective that really helps our leadership empathy. It's not agreeing with someone, it's just taking the perspective. Notice the ants in yourself and realize that other people have them too. So being clear with people, talking about what you need to talk about. Again, reminding yourself and others, treating yourself as your best friend, and just having a growth mindset always. And remembering that where your focus goes, your energy flows. So I just want to say thank you to High Profile for having me as your guest, and also to everyone for joining. And please don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions about any of this, because it is so just big in my heart that this is such an important part of our being, of holistic beings as we are. So thank you.
Kim, thank you so much on behalf of the entire team at High Profile. And of course, I know everyone who attended today had so many great takeaways. And I think the big thing is interrupting the anxiety and the negativity with the gratitude. And I love that. So thank you all for joining us today. I hope that you walk away feeling uplifted and happier. We can tell from the numbers that you do. So we hope that you will continue that into the weeks ahead. And so as we mentioned, we will be sending out a survey link within about 24 hours. And within 48 hours, the download link will be available on the High Profile website. You will receive an email directing you to that page. And from there, you'll be able to download not only the recorded version of this webinar, but also the resources that Kim mentioned that her team will be putting together, as well as a PDF recap from this event. And we will recap the Q&A session. So you'll have links to those apps that Kim mentioned and all the other wonderful information she shared. So again, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.